Okay, so the EXOP, or Executive Office of the Presidency, was set up as a result of the Brownlow Committee in 1936. They had looked at the vast expansion in government intervention that FDR was undertaking and decided that the President needed help with administering a vast bureaucracy and all of the government programs that were going on. There are three main parts to the EXOP. These are the White House Office, the National Security Agency, and also the Office of Management and Budget. The White House Office is the most important of all of these, and it's run by the Chief of Staff. The Chief of Staff is probably the second most important person in the entire presidency. They are the gatekeeper to the President. You don't get access to the President without him. He is the President's main policy advisor and sounding board. And also, he is the person that has to tell the President when he's wrong. As James Baker famously said, he was the Chief of Staff to Ronald Reagan, you have to be the person who speaks the truth to power. Obama's Chief of Staff was the mighty Rahm Emanuel, a fierce man, but also a very sharp operator. The White House Office has three main roles. First of all, it has to coordinate the message. So speech writing, communications, press briefings are all very important, getting the message out as to what the administration is trying to do. Secondly, they provide policy advice and strategy. Most of the people in the White House office will have been with the President from their earliest political forays. If you look at Obama, for example, one of his main advisors, they get the title Special Counsel to the President, was David Axelrod, who had been with him right from the start in Chicago. The third thing that they will do is to liaise with Congress with regards to legislation. They're the President's eyes and ears on Capitol Hill. They're the ones that play a key role in persuasion. They need to know who is supporting the President's legislation, who's not, and who's open to persuasion. We saw that when we watched the Obama video, that Phil Shalero, for example, was Obama's Chief of Legislative Affairs and played a key role in getting the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, passed. A second part of the EXOP is the National Security Agency, and they're there basically to provide foreign policy advice. They're a little different from the White House office in that there are certain people with official roles who will be on the National Security Agency. These include the Director of the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, the American Spy Network overseas, and also the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the military and the Vice President. However, the most important person in the NSA is the National Security Advisor. And the National Security Advisor will be the key foreign policy advisor for the President. Now, this is often quite controversial because they will maybe provide advice that clashes with what the Secretary of State, who is the cabinet member responsible for foreign policy, wants to do. So, for example, during the Obama administration, there was a lot of tension over Syria between what Obama was being advised to do and what Hillary Clinton wanted to do. And Hillary Clinton wanted a far more hawkish approach on Syria, which Obama and his NSC resisted. The third part is the Office of Management and Budget. Not as important, but these are basically the economic policy wonks who basically devise the American budget 2 years in advance. Now, the budget will be submitted by the President and then approved by Congress, but these are the people giving the President his economic detail, if you like, putting flesh on what he wants to do economically, saying whether it will be possible or not. Not as important as the other two sections, but something to bear in mind. I mean, if you were explaining the role of the EXOP in a question, you would be expected to at least mention the Office of Management and Budget. The whole thing is that the EXOP and the White House office in particular actually plays a more significant role in the American process than the British cabinet does. It's supposed to be that way. That's not a strange thing in America. The cabinet are more like managers of individual departments rather than acting as a collective. If you want a collective policy making